Hey, you're still tuned into your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso on SABC3. And this morning, our resident gaming guru, Gareth Woods, joins us to review another highly anticipated game for 2020, Ghost of Tsushima, a sweeping and gorgeous open-world video game set in the 13th century feudal Japan era. It's an equivalent of a Hollywood blockbuster, if you will, and fans have been waiting for it since 2017. Gareth is here to tell us more. How are you doing, GW?
Yeah, good, thanks. It's always good to play good games and then show them off to you guys.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So this is a game that first got fans excited back in 2017. Give us the backstory that kind of would explain to us all this hype that we're experiencing.
Yeah, so I think, for one, Sucker Punch Studios are a studio that have released a lot of really, really good games, and so people are excited to see their take on it. It's also one of the last exclusives we'll see on the PlayStation 4. And generally what we've seen is the last games of console generation tend to be the moment when they've squeezed out the most kind of from the console.
Okay, cool. So as I understand, this is an open world samurai slashing RPG, right? So what's the storyline behind this world?
Okay, once again, can't give away too much because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
But essentially what happened is the island of Tsushima has been invaded by the Mongol horde. So Kublai Khan and his kin have all invaded, and they're really wreaking havoc because they've essentially studied the samurai's tactics and their modes of honor and the way they do things. And you really learn the hard way when you try and, for example, fight one of the guys, and it's an army of them versus one of you, but because your ego and your samurai code says you can't sneak up or use guerrilla tactics, you have to kind of like face them mano a mano, you obviously get your butt kicked. Luckily you survive, and you slowly learn when this thief kind of trains you that, sometimes you can't go head on, sometimes you've got to be a bit sneaky. And so you start, I suppose, adapting your samurai codes to be a bit of a ninja as well. And with that, you start learning different techniques. It's what you need to do to be able to save your country. So yeah, it's got a really good story, great narrative, and it plays out quite well in an open world, which is generally quite difficult for developers to do. As
the guy with a finger on the pulse of all things gaming, you've got first-hand experience at the gameplay. So talk to me about the combat and general gameplay. And does it succeed in giving you that immersive experience of Japanese culture in this open world?
I would have to admit, first of all, that I've never been to Japan, so I'm really just using it compared to my experiences consuming Japanese kind of movies. And I wouldn't say I'm like a samurai nut or anything, but I've watched enough to know that when you're playing the game, you're like, wow, that feels a lot like what I've seen in the movies. Yeah. From a gameplay perspective, the combat's really, really great and fluid and all that. I think one of the key things that makes it a bit different is you unlock these different stances. So as a samurai, you'll unlock like the water stance and the stone stance and all that. And you'll then employ these to fight literally dozens of guys at once. So you'll have some guy coming at you with a spear, and then you'll know that the water stance is the best for that. So that you'll switch up, and you'll just be switching up on the fly. In the beginning, it feels kind of cumbersome because you'll be like, oh, what was the one for this? But after a while, you feel like he's like a proper samurai or Batman, like taking like dozens of guys at once, just switching styles. And it honestly feels like some of the scenes of like Kill Bill or something, where it's like 1 versus 100. Yeah.
That sounds super cool. So talk to me about the side quests in the game, because these days they've become quite standout points of open world games. So how are the side quests in this game?
You've got obviously the main quest that you can just follow and kind of beeline towards the end, and that'll probably take you about 25 to 30 hours to finish the game in that sense. I'm more of a side quest nut, so I go around, doing all the side quests, meeting all the different characters. And in doing so, you probably triple the gameplay in that length. So just Act 1 took me about 20 hours of the kind of 3 acts to play the game. If you're into that sort of stuff, some of the side quests are a little bit more mission-y in the sense that you're learning about certain other characters, and as you play them, you learn more about their stories. They're called tales, and you'll unlock kind of more knowledge about how they fit into this greater world. And then a lot of the other side quests are very kind of like just random errands. You'll walk into an area that's overrun by Mongols that you'll kind of like have to sort them out or rescue someone. I mean, here's something that the game's never done. You can do haikus. So you go to these like places of meditation, and you sit down and you like just contemplate and you write these haikus. So yeah, it's the first video game I ever played that it makes haikus fun. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, listen, with all of that said, what's your final verdict or review? Has it lived up to all the hype?
Yeah, I would give it like an 85 out of 100, so like 8.5 out of 10. So really solid. I think it does everything really well. I think where it struggles is that it doesn't do anything new.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it's a bit of an unfair critique. So it's one of those, I've always said in a genre, you'll find the ones you remember, the ones that do things first, or the ones that do it the best. This one fits more into the category of doing things the best. So the story is well told, the acting is decent, the graphics are amazing, it's got photo mode so you can take these great photos, the gameplay is slick, the load times are quick, all those sort of things, but there's nothing really new. And so that's kind of where my critique is. So if you're looking for something new, probably not the game to play, but if you're looking for an open world game that kind of ticks all the boxes of great story, lots of things to do, and whatever kind of mindset you're in, if you're for action or stealth or whatever there's stuff to do, then it's definitely going to be one of the better open world games out there at the moment.
Yeah, and an 85% approval rating isn't bad either. Thank you very much, man. So if you are a fan of classic samurai cinema and slasher action combat, then this may very well be the game for you. Gareth, thanks a lot, man.
Cheers. Thank you.